The whole article is just going to be about the American dream and the love of the road that not necessarily is unique to the United States, but part of the iconic American dream is the highway. Is the 1950s of families piling up in the back of a Volkswagen or a hatchback car or something. What are those called? Those station wagons, and just taking to the road. And this game, for all of its bullshit dialogue, bullshit story, half-assed everything, has a fantastic representation of the United States, and I really appreciate it. And from New York City, I traded in my car for the buses, for the trains. I gave up freedom, as every good American does when they move to a city. And this game just made me remember how much I miss driving, and how much I miss. Like I told you the other day, Alec, I've been to everywhere in this game. I've been to all 50 states. Mm-hmm. I've done all of these highways, all the major highways. I told you I was able to drive from Tampa to New York in the game without using a map and GPS. And that's something to be said. Oh, I mentioned the other day that every session I had crashed. It wasn't that the engine crashed. It was... So the game is an MMO. It's an always online game.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so the only reason the game crashed is because I lost connection to the Ubisoft servers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it boots you out of the game. I feel like it's a good first shot at this new idea. Because remember what was it, 2 E3s ago, every Ubisoft game was, they zoom out and it's like a shitload of people playing and it's like, So anyways, welcome to P&Sing Time.
Yeah, damn right, guys.
I'm Brian Kale. Joining me today is Alec Kuismeyer.
Yeah, that's
Joe.
me.
I don't really know your last name.
It's Yang.
Joe Yang. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Should we talk about what video games we played?
Yeah, definitely. You lent me a game last week. I think you lent me two.
I did.
But really, you only lent me one. If we talk about the other one you lent me, we'll all fall asleep. So, that is, of course, the order, full disclosure. So, yeah. What have you been playing this week, Alec?
So I actually played several video games, one of which I can't talk about, but the other
I can. Are you even allowed to say the name of the game?
Wait, when's this going to be going up?
If Joe gets it to me before Sunday night at fucking whenever he gave it to me, if I get it on Friday, it'll go up on Monday, which is the 23rd.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
the embargo's up on the 23rd. So, yeah, I can talk about it.
Holy shit, we can talk about this fucking game today.
So I've played Bloodborne. I'm really bad at it. Really bad at it. I find that really interesting, and we'll talk more about it.
Before we move on, have you played any other Souls game?
I own Dark Souls on the PC, and I played a little bit of it.
Were you bad at it?
I was also bad at that.
Okay, let's move on. That's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah, I think I'm possibly less bad at Bloodborne, but I could be wrong about that.
I want to say more, but I can't. So that's for next week. So cool. What else have you been playing?
I played Kirby's, whatever it's called, Kirby's Adorable Claymation Adventure.
Better late than never. That was getting subpar to average reviews. I asked you about it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I finally played it, and I mean, it's just adorable. I don't even remember anything about the game other than the fact that, it is so freaking cute. The claymation aesthetic is, flawlessly put into effect. I never got to play Kirby's Epic Yarn, although I'm looking forward to Yoshi's Woolly World.
This is a spiritual successor to that, correct?
Oh, no, it's a spiritual successor to Kirby's Canvas Curse.
Okay.
Which was a DS launch title, and was one of the first thing to really use the stylus. And so the game is really stylus heavy. Basically, all you do is create like a clay line that clay Kirby clay follows. It's easy. I think you can die, but I'm not actually sure. I know you can't die in Kirby's Epic Yarn. I think you can die in Rainbow Curse, I think it's called. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. It's the kind of thing where it's just like, Nintendo games are just always well designed. And this is just another example. It's a very well designed game. It's an extremely pretty game. Nintendo companies know how to make the best out of their limited hardware, and I imagine we'll talk about that in sort of a broader
big news
topic. But it really does boil down to the fact that nobody makes games like Nintendo does. It's not like the most fun I've had playing a video game. It's not as good as like New Super Mario 3D World or whatever. But it's enjoyable, and I will go back to it. I also played it in co-op, which was fun. So, yeah.
Did you look at that article I linked from Eurogamer about, because this is going to be a transition, we'll get to it in a second. But in this article about the Wii U, it's a photo of the amount of viable and good Wii U exclusive titles to play on the system versus the amount of good exclusive games for Sony on the PlayStation 4.
Where is it?
It's on the Eurogamer article.
Oh.
I'll link it right here.
Then Nintendo admits
Scroll
defeat
down.
one.
Yeah, we don't have to, like, that whole, I don't think Nintendo's admitting defeat, but I think it's a perception thing. We can get into that. But look at that photo.
Yeah,
it's like 10 plus games versus Destiny.
And
However,
Destiny is not actually a PS4 exclusive, so.
It's not. But this game also does not take into effect, that picture doesn't take into effect indie titles and...
Or Bloodborne.
And Bloodborne, because there's a lot of positive news coming out of Bloodborne. But, so, Kirby's good. I'm glad to hear that Kirby...
Yeah.
I've loved Kirby. He's one of Nintendo's most underutilized characters. So it's good to see that he's back, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun, and it's very, it's adorable. It really is. Like, that's kind of the best word for it. It's not a game for people who want to be challenged. It is the anti-Bloodborne. I'll go with that.
It's kind of like Rayman Legends then, right?
No, Rayman Legends gets fucking hard.
Does it? I've only played the first hour then.
That game, it gets really hard, but the thing I love about Rayman Legends, I love so many things about Rayman Legends. It's like one of my favorite games.
I keep meaning to pick it up on PlayStation 4, and I never did.
You should get a Wii U and pick it up on that, since it was made for the Wii U and is best played on that system. There's so much freaking content in that game. It just like never ends. The fact that the game was done and then they delayed it, but while it was delayed, they added in like an entire extra section of the game, which just like there's an obscene amount of stuff in Rayman Legends. Like, I don't think I will ever see all of the levels.
From what I understand, it's kind of like Super Mario Wii U World, where after you collect the 100 stars, there's like the superstar levels.
Yeah. Super Mario 3D Land also has a ridiculous amount of content. Like, you beat it, and then there's the next set of levels, and then you beat those, and then there's another one, and then you beat those, and then there's another one. And I haven't beat that last one. My guess is that is actually the last set of levels, but I didn't even beat that one. Like, both of those games, it's just like there's so much to them, which is amazing. Very few companies will actually like fill a game with content like that.
This could actually relate to the later discussion about Nintendo. 3D World, Rayman's Legends to some extent, is cheaper to make than modern generation video games.
Right.
Which is why they're able to create so many unique assets and game elements. That's kind of like how the Order is. The Order looks great, has a lot of great unique assets, but when it comes down to it, the game is not engaging. Let's just segue right into it. We had a bunch of news out of Nintendo this week. Nintendo is opening up to mobile development, finally. And the new hardware called the NX, which is just the code name, which is hot off the heels of the rumors I mentioned 3 weeks ago, but I don't believe we talked about on podcast.
Yeah. What I think is sort of the most interesting thing, or one of the most interesting things about Dina collaboration, is the fact that apparently Dina has been talking to Nintendo for the last 5 years, being like, hey, Hey, listen. Hey, listen. Listen. Mobile's important.
I get it.
Yeah, right. But they've been working on Nintendo for 5 years, and only now have they finally like accepted
Do you
the.
know what I think happened? I think Nintendo finally saw the numbers on mobile players and the money,
Mhm.
and they finally believed in it. I think we may never see another Nintendo handheld because of this.
We will. We totally will because
If we do, that might be the last one and possibly a bad investment on Nintendo's part.
I don't think so.
Unless
I
they
think
create some unique experience that you can't get on a cell phone.
I mean, if 3DS already does.
They can't make
There's
3DS again.
there's essentially one major element in handhelds that they have that cell phones essentially don't have, and that's mechanical parts. And that's incredibly important when you have kids or people playing video games all day pressing the same buttons over and over and over again. Essentially, cell phones just aren't built to handle that sort of constant stress, which is why they espouse swipe movements in their design language. It's because you can't keep tapping the same place over and over and over again on a cell phone because eventually the glass gives out. Whereas if you have a mechanical part, it's a little bit cheaper and a little bit easier to repair and replace it, but it also means that it can handle a lot more punishment. It's sort of the same idea between membrane keyboards versus mechanical keyboards. One's rated for several million keys, whereas the other is rated for 1 to 2. So I don't think cell phones are going to replace handheld consoles anytime soon, simply because, well, I'm just going to end it there.
Okay, Dan, mid-sentence. On that note, I have a mechanical keyboard, and I've had the same keyboard for over 10 years. I think it's a good move for Nintendo. I think this is a lot of coming out of Nintendo over the past 4 months, 5 months now, has been, oh shit, we are making good games, but obviously the market is shifting. We need to adjust. I'm glad they did it, because for a while there, they were very stubborn.
What I'm curious is, I mean, and they've been because they've been saying for probably 2 years that they've been paying attention to the mobile space, but they've also made pretty clear every single time they've talked about it that they will not be putting their current beloved Nintendo properties on handhelds, that they'll be like making entirely new things. And I'm curious how true that ends up being.
I hope it's not true.
I do and don't. I hope it's not true. What I expect is not true is I expect we'll probably see things that are like Mario puzzle spin-offs. Things that are Mario branded but are not Mario games. I mean, you could never play a real like Mario platformer with the precision you need on a touchscreen. And so hopefully what they mean is that they're just going to be working to make new properties or new versions of their properties that work specifically well, like with capacitive touchscreens, and on a touch surface, which few of their games do. Even, Kirby's Rainbow Curse is stylus specific. Couldn't really play that game with your finger because, you need to create this very perfect line. But I found one of the things that I found really interesting that came out of Nintendo was the fact that Splatoon was originally a Mario spinoff. And I guess it was some like version of the Flood that they were using, but because Miyamoto just adds Mario to everything. But eventually someone came to him and they were like, what about this idea for these squid things? And immediately he was like, you know what, this needs to not be Mario. This needs to be something new. And that's what it came from, is someone finally like stood up and said, hey Miyamoto, how about not Mario for once?
And Miyamoto, I think we are as beloved and as much as I love everything he's done in video games, I think we're nearing the end of his tenure. He this week he tweeted out he saw random photos of people from Tumblr who drew pictures of Mario and Luigi in not safe for work acts, and Miyamoto tweeted out, I've seen these photos of Mario and Luigi in lewd acts. Please stop, they're brothers. But remember a couple of weeks ago I said the rumors about Nintendo's new system is that it will be integrated with their handheld device. that the games on their handheld device will somehow integrate into the system. So what if their handheld device in question is a phone, and the games will translate between the system and the phone? So the mechanical aspect of these games is an actual system and controller, much in the same way that the Vita is with the PlayStation 4. Granted, no one plays the Vita, but it is the same concept.
I play on the Vita.
The PlayStation Vita is much like the Nintendo Wii U. It is the GameCube of this generation. It is the best system that no one's paying attention about. What if they do that? What if they integrate? So what if they have like the games can run on both consoles? Because in 5 years, cell phones could be really fucking powerful.
I don't think Nintendo would. Nintendo, for the last 2 generations, has done everything they can to not directly compete, and that worked really well, and then it worked less well. But I think that they're going to continue to not try to directly compete with other things. What I could see happening is I could see, it wouldn't necessarily be a phone, but the next 3DS is really the Gamepad V2, and then the Wii U is the Wii U 2, or what the NX ends up being, is actually the equivalent of the Steam Link, and it's just the way to get your Gamepad 2 / 3DS 2 onto your TV. So you can choose.
It would be very prudent of them to do that. They need the next system they have that they put out needs to play, as I said last time, it needs to play Pokemon on both the handheld and the big screen. It needs to play Monster Hunter on both. And it needs to play the Zelda, it needs to play Metroid, all that. They also cannot release this new system without a Zelda, Metroid, or Mario in the first 1.5 or 2 years. We still haven't gotten the Zelda on the Wii U. We still haven't gotten a Metroid on the Wii U.
Well, we got Wind Waker HD on the Wii U.
We still have not got Zelda on the Wii U, and we still have not got Metroid. A remake is one thing. Yes, the remake is great, and anyone who has a Wii U should pick up Wind Waker, especially because I know more than half of you motherfuckers never played Wind Waker.
We got like 5 listeners.
Yeah,
so
all 5 of you, so 2.5 of you haven't played.
Not really shooting very high here.
You cannot release the next system without maybe Super Mario Galaxy next, Metroid next, and stuff. And the people in the studio that made the Metroid Primes is apparently working on a game. They just haven't announced it, and it's been ages.
The problem with Nintendo, and this is both a problem. This is a problem for
maybe it's Miyamoto.
No, I mean on some level it is Miyamoto, but this is like it's both a problem and not a problem. But depending on who you are, if you're an investor, it's a problem. If you're a player, it's great. Is the fact that Nintendo generally won't release a game until they think it's done. They're like Valve in that respect. What that means is that games come out very infrequently, but when they come out, they're so goddamn good. Like, you'll never have the day an Assassin's Creed Unity happens to a Nintendo game is the game that Nintendo is the day that Nintendo dies.
I agree with that statement 100%. I just think that they need to plan this ahead then. Yes, we will not put out a game that's not ready. That is one of the best qualities a game developer can have.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot launch the next system. The Wii U died because of perception.
Yeah.
I said it was the GameCube of this generation. It is a truth. And the GameCube was as viable as the Xbox, better than the Xbox, and as competent as the PlayStation 2. Had amazing games on it. I still play my GameCube. That's how quality all the games on there. Most of the quality games on there were either Resident Evil 4 or everything Nintendo put out. And that's the same exact thing the Wii U is. It's all Nintendo games.
And Killer 7, which also went to the PS2, but was a better version on the GameCube.
But for the most part,
just saying,
it was the cheaper system that had 15 great games. I think the Wii U died because of a narrative written by 3 game-a-year players, the people who play Call of Duties, the people who play Halos, and the people who play Grand Theft Autos. And since none of those games are coming out on any Nintendo system, the narrative is, well, the system's dead. Nintendo's shot, they're kaput, they're fucked. And remember, last year, all everyone talked about was, is Nintendo going to be bought out by Sony? Are they under problem? No, Nintendo's fine. They made a gajillion dollars off of the Wii and the 3DS. They had like
Very accurate
$1
numbers.
trillion in their war chest.
They have so much money.
Yeah, and they still have enough. They have enough to make at least 2 more systems and still not go belly up.
Yeah.
That's how much the Wii U and Wii U Sports, that's how much money they printed.
The
So,
Wii, not the Wii U.
yeah, the Wii, I mean. The Wii Sports and the Wii. I think it was a hyperbolic message written by bored media folk and 3 Game a Year gamers. I mentioned in the pre-doc that Nintendo, has always been the console of the geek. And more so than ever is it still the console of the geek. Except gaming and gamers are no longer regulated to only the geeks. Everyone games now. And mostly everyone is into Sony, and that's large part due to how powerful that press conference was from E3 a couple years ago. But the Call of Duty bros, the Halo bros, the Maddens, and the GTA bros never were Nintendo people and will not be Nintendo people for the foreseeable future. I think that's kind of Nintendo's problem. It's not that they lost fans this generation. It's just they kind of got exposed as they are not mainstream, and they used to be mainstream.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are different. The thing is, they're a different kind of mainstream. They're like the mainstream that doesn't hit the 18 to 24 male demographic.
Exactly, and that's what they always kind of were. Except now gaming is very broad, and the multi-millions of dollars. The Wii U was an aberration. The Wii U resonated with people over the age of 35 and 40.
You mean the Wii?
The Wii, I'm sorry, I keep saying it. The Wii was an aberration.
Yeah.
It resonated with people, with children, young children under the age of 10, and families with people over the age of 40, 45. My parents have a Wii. A lot of I suspect at least one of your parents has a Wii as well, and everyone in this, my grandma played Wii. The Wii sold 20 million plus units because it was easy to understand, and I don't want to say old people got it, but old people fucking got it.
Cool.
And now Nintendo shifted back to what they were when they were the GameCube and the SNES. Just, they were the tight first-party games and geek culture games that are not marketed towards a broad appeal. They are marketed towards their niche. And they do that fantastically. They always have. A lot of games journalism is dominated by market numbers and by what used to be considered casual gamers. People who only play... Polygon still is running Destiny articles. That's all you need to know about why Nintendo is failing this time on the Wii U.
They'll run Destiny articles forever.
But they're running Destiny articles because fucking people are clicking on those articles.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Because Destiny is a narrative tour de force.
No, it's because...
It's because Destiny is a 30-minute-a-day addiction. I
There
think
you
the
go.
most interesting writing that came out on
Looks
Destiny
like the
came out.
thought police are coming to get you, Brian. I hear them wailing in the
It's
background.
not
That's what you get.
Listen, it's not Polygon's
Shitting on
fault that they're
Destiny.
running those articles. It's
Yeah,
not Polygon's fault. It's the fucking people who are clicking on it. So Polygon is just going to where the wind blows, which they have to because no one's going to pay them to keep the lights on there. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think Destiny is really sort of a fascinating game because I do think the most interesting writing about it came out like 3 months after the fact when everyone was like, so remember when I didn't like the game at launch? I'm still playing it. I'm not sure why. And then
positive feedback loops.
But it wasn't even that. It's like my problems with it are the same as they ever were. I'm playing it for 20 minutes a day every single day. It's bizarre. And I never picked it up. You know, I got enough of my fix from the alpha like a billion years ago. The fact that it hooked people in that way is fascinating. You know, the fact that it basically snuck up on everyone. People are like,
Sounds like you're getting inner box.
Destiny it's not a bad game, it's just not an amazing game.
right.
But that's kind of how the gaming is these days. Is there's enough room and enough people playing games that games like Destiny can exist. And that's kind of what it is with Nintendo. Is they will never scratch the itch that Call of Duty and Destiny will scratch.
I really hope Splatoon does.
Splatoon is the most exciting thing coming out of Nintendo since the Wii.
I went to a preview event at the Nintendo headquarters in New York, and they were like showing off things they had shown it at E3, and they're like, so what do you want to play? I was like, Splatoon, and they're like, we don't have Splatoon, and I wanted to leave.
I went to a Nintendo thing in November as well, and I walked in and they said the same thing, and I said, I want to play Splatoon and Captain Toad, and they said, well, we got one of those.
Yeah.
And then I was forced to play Sonic Boom.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
I didn't have to play anything.
I was forced to play Sonic Boom and Captain Toad.
Wow, when I went to a Nintendo thing, it was for Pokemon Black and White, and hadn't come out yet. All I remember is that there were hot chicks dressed up as furries, and I was able to go out a slide, and when I landed outside the slide, I found out I came out of a giant Pikachu's anus. So it sounds like your experiences were much more exciting than mine.
Yours sounds like some weird nightmare. Like, that doesn't sound like a thing that actually happened.
Do we want to talk about VR? And Valve is trying to encourage innovation. The
Not
TED
really.
Talks started.
We talked so much about VR a couple weeks ago.
So then I have the TED Talks on there. And the writer from Wired, who's in Australia covering it for Wired, did you see the quote I put? It is a pageant of optimism, a celebration of the belief, and a kind of buoyant integrity that can make the world better. And he's there, and he's like, it is the world's intellectual elites masticating over each other about how great they are and how they're going to save the world. And I'm like, because I'm one of these people who believes that the human mind can create almost anything.
Yeah.
So when someone writes about TED Talks that way, I understand how they come that way, but I fully believe anything is possible. Anything you can think, literally anything you can think of, you add time to that, and it will happen.
That is a fascinating photo, Joe.
Thank you. I think that was when my sexual energy was at its prime.
That is not the title image, so I'm putting that in the podcast document.
Was she was that Pikachu like one of them hot young ladies dressed as a furry?
No, that was just a wandering Pikachu that I said, yo, bro, can you please get in a picture with me? And then he reached over to put his arm on my shoulder, but instead I went down to the floor like that. All the moms there had a good laugh. And then I looked at them straight in the eye, and then I said, what's your number? And then they and their kids walked away. I got a free copy of the Toronto Sun while waiting in line. It's a newspaper. It was very cool. It was a great day.
Joe.
It was a magical day.
Oh, it was so magical.
Do you want to talk about DLC depreciation?
Yes, we should talk about DLC depreciation. By the way, did you notice that last week's episode was technically episode 4, but I titled it episode 5. We skipped 4.
Yes.
Yeah, why is that?
Because I thought it was the 5th one all the way up until I got to Lipson, and I realized it was the 4th one. I was like, fuck it. Everything is titled the 5th episode, so then I just finished it off. Oh, we skipped 4. So now this will be episode 6.
Cool.
Nice.
Welcome to episode 6, everybody.
Welcome to episode 6 of Pause and Select.
The only Let's Play series, like videos I watch at all, are the Fine Bros' teens react to games thing.
Very legitimate Let's Plays, yes.
I love those. Like, they did one for Five Nights at Freddy's 3 the other day, which is pretty funny. The best is seeing they have senior citizens play Friday Nights at Freddy's and Five Nights at Freddy's, rather, and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. They are so unimpressed. Like, it's just, like, the jump scares do nothing to them. It's fascinating.
Those people have seen some shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
You should watch.
They're so nonplussed.
Yeah, it's amazing. And one of them's like, this was a game? Fuck this, or whatever, He doesn't say fuck, but it's really fascinating to see that. But I really like watching the teens ones because, you get to see multiple people reacting to the same events. Because of that, obviously, horror games are sort of the best because you get that reaction to, like, watching Outlast or PT or whatever. Super interesting. The Last of Us, I watched, them play through the first sequence. And I started watching them play through the second one, and I just got bored. Like, that game is so not interesting if you're not playing it. And it's also not interesting if you are playing it because the playing part is not interesting. So, like, the only really compelling part of that game, the world conceptually, not necessarily in practice, but the cutscenes. I'm looking forward to that movie. I'm just so mad at that game. I mean, do either of you have thoughts on that? I mean, we've talked about The Last of Us.
Well, it makes sense because The Last of Us has sort of designed itself to be more like an older retro game in that you are rewarded with cutscenes. So essentially, gameplay is a tribulation, and you have to pass these trials, and you are rewarded with snippets of story. It feels a lot like the old Ninja Gaiden, and not so much like the new one.
Mm-hmm. Right, that makes sense.
New. I'm trying to do things.
Air quotes, yes.
Okay, there we go. Air quotes. There we go. Air quotes. So yeah, it makes sense that the best parts of The Last of Us are its cutscenes and the stories that it tells.
Uh-huh.
And I saw that you're nodding off screen means that you agree with me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that, Brian?
Well, as one person who liked the game itself, I liked the story specifically. But that's also because I read The Road, and I'm into that type of depressing post-apocalypse bullshit that's come out since Kirkman made The Walking Dead famous.
You know what would be hilarious if there was a video game of The Road and there was that scene where you went down into the cellar and found all those people, and there was like a mini game where you had to escape, but it was a mini game, so any sense of tension is completely gone because mini games are hilarious, especially if it's like a Bejeweled Match 3 mini game. Oh no, I need to match all of these cans so I can get away from these people who are eventually going to be eaten by cannibals.
So basically, the Road as Bejeweled.
Yes.
Can it be a quick time event like all of The Order is?
No, it has to be like The Road, but with Bejeweled. The Road meets Bejeweled.
It's Puzzle Quest, The Road edition.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I'm going to stop by this campfire here, but I got to match these 3 fetuses so I can break the line down so my son can eat.
It's just
That
the
would be
boy
so
and
good.
the man. No, because if they made a video game of The Road, they would give the characters names, and that would ruin it.
No, they would name things. I named my character in Bloodborne Bean. True
Bean?
story. Because I came
Are you
up
talking
with a
about the
different...
fruit or Rowan Atkinson?
B-E-A-N.
I name
Are
all
you
my
talking
characters. I generally name all my characters the same thing in every game I play except for BioWare games. They're all named Mag.
I will say, the Bloodborne character creation lets you make some kick-ass sunglasses. My character has fucking purple-tinted circular sunglasses. They're fucking awesome. They're the best part of the game, actually.
I'm gonna do what I always do in a FromSoft game when it comes to character creation. Just quickly push next, because it doesn't matter what your character looks like.
It is obscenely complicated. You can actually change the individual hex value of the color wheel. You can choose from a set of colors, but like if you want like 10 red, 50 blue, and 252 green, you can do that like in their slider settings. It's
Something else that we got from Skyrim is over customizable characters.
Yeah, but Bloodborne goes way beyond. With like there's like 100 different gradations, and I still can't tell.
How does it look?
The game? Oh, it's pretty. There's a lot of blood, and it's grimy, and it's gray.
Well, I know it's not going to look. Well, the Order is gray, but I'm assuming it looks better than.
I mean, it doesn't look better than the Order because the Order looks like holy shit. I mean, it looks really nice. I mean, I have basically no qualms with the way it looks. And from my relatively limited experience, it ran relatively well. My guess is with a lot more enemies on screen. At most, I was fighting 2 bigger enemies, twice the size of a person, or, see like 7 people sized things on screen. I mean, the problem with that game is just like, or intrinsic to the design of that game.
So that means it's not a problem.
Yeah, I can fault it for those things, but because those things are also the selling point, me faulting it for those things is sort of.
I would love that next week we both kind of like write our personalized opinions of the game.
Uh-huh.
I think we should definitely do a group video because this game, more so than the other FromSoft games, is supposed to focus more on co-op play.
Yeah, I have no idea. As of right
totally
now,
do that.
As of right now, video doesn't, or multiplayer, anything doesn't work.
Yeah, which
So.
is that's par for the course for FromSoft games. They don't turn the servers on until the day of. Anyways, before we completely fall off topic, did you want to talk about depletion of DLC?
DLC depreciation, yes, because I think this is super interesting. The thing that inspired this concept is the announcement from, I think, last week for the first anniversary of Titanfall, which is a game that like everyone's forgotten about. All of the
Sounds
DLC
about right.
that was in the season pass, free. So, the people who waited or didn't buy it until right now get the, that $20 or whatever it was worth of content for free, which, I think is super interesting for a whole bunch of reasons. I think what I think is interesting about it is that on some level, I think it's a reflection of the realities of multiplayer in the sense that single-player DLC is sort of evergreen, but multiplayer DLC has a shelf life, and its shelf life is as long as the game is relevant, which is probably not very long, considering
But that's
almost no games are long.
That's sort of. I feel like the reason why this is a shock to a lot of people that all of a sudden the Titanfall free DLC is now free is a lot of these people are not PC gamers. PC gamers are well aware of the fact that a year after a game comes out, that DLC could be 50 cents, could be 99 cents, could be really fucking cheap on a Steam sale or whatever. However, there's a company that has been doing lowering the value of their DLC a year after it comes out. Bethesda, they do it on the reg.
Do they?
Oh, Skyrim. You can now buy. So Skyrim came out. Its season had 3 major DLC packs, each costing $20. However, after the third DLC came out, Bethesda released Skyrim Game of the Year Edition. Includes all 3 DLC expansion packs for $59.99, which is the exact cost of the game. They basically give you the game and the DLC for free. I think it's more that it's Titanfall that people are freaking out about. There's Game of the Year editions all over the place.
This is different than a Game of the Year edition because it specifically deals with the actual downloadable files themselves. Because Game of the Year edition is not like a new thing by any stretch.
They probably had to make. So here's what probably happened. A lot of people who bought Titanfall last year no longer play. Still enough people playing that they had their people divided up into 2 groups. Half of their player base had the DLC, half didn't. So matchmaking might have taken a longer time. It might have depreciated the value of the overall product for the people who currently had the product. Because, I have to wait this much time longer because no one else has the DLC. So I'm sitting here wanting to use this DLC and no one else has it. Or on the vice versa, I don't have the DLC, therefore I can't play the game. So they might have made it free. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's probably something like that.
And then GTA, Rockstar just released free DLC for Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PC. Never cost anything in the first hand. I think all games depreciate in value over time. I think DLC should follow that suit. It is appalling that on PlayStation and Xbox and to some degree Nintendo, that 2 years, a year, whatever, after a game's come out, it's still full price. But then you go into a GameStop or you go on Steam and the same game is fractions of that cost.
Microsoft is definitely the worst. Nintendo has been good about doing sales, like digital sales.
Nintendo is notorious for never reducing the price of their games because they only produce a limited amount of copies of their games.
Their physical prices never go down. But I got
games.
Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on sale for like $20 or something when it's still like 40 or more in stores. Part of that, I'm glad I got that one on sale because I am terrible at that game. I am probably worse at that game than I am at Bloodborne. I will never beat. I legitimately don't think I will ever beat the second boss in Tropical Freeze. I gave up. It's too difficult for me, and I'm bad at video games, and it hurts me to admit it, but it's the truth.
Well, I'm going to tell you a secret about FromSoft games is they're never as hard as you think they are. They
Yeah.
have a set of rules.
Mm-hmm.
They're clearly defined. It's just they're never explicit. So
I mean,
they don't tell you the rules. So case in point, my first playthrough of Dark Souls was 30 plus, maybe 40 hours. My second playthrough of Dark Souls was 8. So
really?
yeah. So once you figure the game, once you figure out a FromSoft game, you'll just destroy it.
Yeah.
Its
I mean,
whole
I think-
trick is not telling you anything.
Honestly, I think I'm just like the way I play games is just not conducive to the systems that they've developed.
Well, they intentionally did that because they know, like, it was kind of a response to Gods of Wars and stuff.
Yeah.
They intentionally said, look at all these people playing these games. They don't block. Everyone got used to just going, like, crazy offense and crazy reckless and stuff. FromSoft sat down and said, let's play against everyone's expectations. Let's play against what they are used to and play off
Well,
of
Bloodborne is all offense. There's no shields and shit.
Yeah, but now you have to dodge, and a lot of games you have to dodge,
You know.
and there's the balancing of healing. I haven't played Bloodborne yet, so I can't fully talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's closer to God of War in the sense that, like, you know, you can roll, but, you know, it is all melee, like it's all offense. And if you get hit, I think this is one of the most interesting things about it. If you get hit, you have hit the thing that hit you immediately. You regain some of the health that was taken from you in that initial hit.
Yeah. Oh, I hear there's a hub world. Oh, shit, we can't talk, like, this is all stuff we're going to talk about next week. Because I could sit here and probably ask questions, talk about it, but I don't. Part of the beauty of a FromSoft game is not knowing anything about the game. Let's just move on.
I'm shocked.
Uncharted was delayed. That's no big surprise. I think we should be expecting the delays. Developers are having a harder time working on this next generation consoles than previously expected. I think that's the case. Would you agree? And this also plays into next month's big launch, which is The Witcher 3, which has already been delayed several times. And the rumor is it CD Red or CD Projekt Red?
CD Projekt Red.
Yeah. The rumor is they would delay it again if they could. But the publisher is saying, no, you've already delayed it like a year. You have to publish it now. So I worry that developers...
But they are the publisher, but maybe not on consoles.
They're the publisher, but they might not be the distributor. So I don't know the full. The rumors is they've delayed the game so long that they are now not being pressured to put the game out, but you know they're being encouraged to put the game out. It's been remember The Witcher 3 was supposed to come out not last Christmas, last spring, and it's been delayed a full year, and now it's coming out next month. I worry about The Witcher. They've made 2 great, if not amazing, Witcher games in a row. What are the odds that they did it a third time? Especially when they're trying to emulate Skyrim.
I mean, didn't they say the game is like 50 times larger than the previous game? Like that as a number is like problematic. Like that's too big.
Yeah, well, this gets into open world versus tight narratives, which is my problem with Grand Theft Auto, and will be my problem with Phantom Pain compared to the last Metal Gear games. I want, especially with games like that, I want a tight-knit narrative that is focused and directed. I want chance of optional paths and freedom and stuff. I don't want the world to be so goddamn big that I'm going to get lost and forget what the fuck I'm doing. Which is why I never finished Grand Theft Auto 5. I have no interest in finishing Grand Theft Auto 5, and I worry what will happen with Phantom Pain.
It'll definitely happen with The Witcher if it's as big as they say it is, and I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I don't want it to be like Far Cry. Did you play The Witcher 2 or any of the Witchers? Have either of you played the Witchers games?
I've watched people play The Witcher. I've never played it myself.
Have you played any of the Witcher games?
No.
That's another thing I worry about is most people who this game is being marketed to have not played any of the Witcher games. And this is also a unique franchise in which all 3 games are dramatically different than the one before them. And the only thing connecting them are the story and characters. I worry. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, probably it's been over an hour,
It's been
maybe.
almost an hour and a half.
I mean, we started late. Thanks, Joe. Thanks,
Yeah,
Obama.
we missed
You're
Kimmy Schmidt again.
welcome.
We missed Kimmy Schmidt again. Everyone should watch Kimmy Schmidt. It's the best show on
Yeah.
Netflix. We should do a sign off before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've the time with us.
Did you learn anything this week? Did you learn anything this week, Alec?
Did I learn anything this week? I mean, I feel like we had some interesting conversations at one point. I don't remember what we talked about. Kind
Nice.
of a blur.
Hallmark of a great podcast.
But I look forward to listening back to this one to seeing what we talked about.
Yeah.
That's what I learned. What did you learn, Joe?
He's gonna say nothing.
No, I was gonna say I learned. No, you're right. I learned nothing.
I learned that Joe is a furry with Pokemon.
What? No, I'm not. I'm not a furry. What the hell?
Do you mind if I...
And I learned that Joe is still playing
Nah.
Japanese.
It won't affect the
Japanese
test.
Yo, I'm
games.
not.
Good night, everyone.